Assalamu alaikum everyone. In our journey creating ignited communities that benefit humanity, it's important to have cave days. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to build caves in your homes, but I'm asking you to have thinking days in your month, in your quarters, in your life. How many times do we just sit down and think about things? And this is what I mean about cave days. You know, caves, they have a relationship with guidance. If we look at our history, there's always an association between caves and guidance. If we look at, for example, Surah Al-Kahf, and we read the surah weekly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the sleepers of the cave and how that cave was a means of their guidance and then their faith being protected. Even if we look at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we find that he would go to the cave of Hira and he would stay there in seclusion and just think. And then the greatest guidance of mankind came to him whilst he was in that cave. Then if we look at the Hijrah, which is the greatest migration ever, and it's dubbed as the migration of guidance, we see that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sought protection in a cave. They stayed in a cave, and that was a means of them managing to get to Medina safely. So cave days, thinking days. We need to have these days where we switch off from technology, switch off from the people around us, and really have a meeting with ourselves, right? We connect with our fitrah, we connect with our natural disposition, and we audit ourselves. We try and identify all our roles in life. And everyday life brings us different roles, right? Roles can be mandatory, roles can be elective. When I say mandatory roles, I mean roles that are with you forever. You can't separate yourself from them, like being a son, like being a daughter, like being a parent, and so on and so forth, like being a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we have elective roles, those roles that are sometimes attached to us when we are involved in the role, and those roles which are sometimes not attached to us because we are allowed to take a break from the role. We sit down with all these roles and we ask ourselves a question. For example, I'm a father, right? What is my dream quality of fatherhood? And then we think about it. We actually think about it, that what would be, what would make me proud if I was to step out of myself and look at myself as a father, right? And then we understand that ideal. And then we ask ourselves a question: how close are we to that ideal, right? We try and realize the gap between us as a father now and the ideal father, right? And when we understand that gap, we can go further. We can ask ourselves the next question: why is there a gap between what, my dream as a father and my actual role as a father now? We start identifying the root causes as to why there's this gap between us and our ideals. When we answer that question, we can ask the next question: what solutions can I apply so that I can close the gap between me as a father now and the ideal father, right? Maybe I need to take a course. Maybe, I need to give my children more time. Maybe I need to be sensitive to certain circumstances and situations. If we don't have a thinking day, how can we transform? How can we grow, right? And apply this example to all the other roles in your life and all the other aspects in your life, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create you just to be anybody. He created you to be somebody. You have the rule book in terms of how you should be on earth, how to live on earth in a way pleasing to Allah. And then you have faith, for you believed in one Allah and you accepted Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the final messenger. There's no room for us to be anybody's. We can only be somebody's, and thinking days, cave days help us achieve this. So, in our quest to create ignited communities that benefit humanity, be sure to take time out of life for yourself. Have a meeting with yourself and identify your ideals, identify where you are from those ideals, and identify what you can do moving forward to close the gap between you and your ideals. This is transformation, and this is the reality of Islam and Iman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.